I've been thinking today, well, I've been thinking for a long time actually about the proverbial rock bottom with addiction and the kind of idea that a person needs to hit a rock bottom or their rock bottom to find the motivation to change. And there's definitely some truth in that. It's kind of like there's a switch or something that happens which will almost give like a sort of jolt or reset to the brain, enough to pull the person out of that habit and set them on a different path. And I've been listening to Dr. K, as everyone knows, I love him. And he was on Diary of CEO, and he was talking about because he works with addicts, and he was a gaming addict himself, and he talks about there's no such thing as a rock bottom, because whenever an addict hits a rock bottom, they can easily just pull out a jackhammer and plow through to the next level down, which resonates. It's kind of like the idea of, well, the rock bottom is going to be never ending. Really, the rock bottom is death. And it's like, at which level do you choose, or are you able to get off the plummet, like a plummeting elevator? And I think we tend to think of it in terms of physical things. So, you know, losing the kids, losing the job, losing the marriage, all of that, and the shame that comes from it, and the kind of, right, that's it, I'm going to do something about it now. But I think it's more of a metaphysical thing. For myself personally, when my parents, because I kept my addiction to alcohol a secret, kind of. Nobody realized that I was, really suffering and struggling with it. And eventually my parents found out. And that was my rock bottom. And I kind of assumed, well, it was the shame of that happening that forced me to change. But now when I think about it, it was almost like my parents finally knowing how much pain I was in. That was the full expression of the addiction. It's like the addiction expresses itself in numerous different ways. It causes damage, but it's like it's expressing itself. It expresses all sorts of different emotions, positive and negative. It goes thrill seeking. It says things that it normally wouldn't say. It connects with people on a deeper level. It expresses your pain. All of that self-expression that I couldn't do without alcohol. It was like it finally came to its full fruition and its full expression when my parents found out what was going on, and they finally saw how much pain I was in. And I really think that's what it is. So when you think about, well, what's my rock bottom? How can I create my rock bottom? How much do I have to lose? Unless your addiction, or unless you are able to express everything you need to express, either through the addiction or through your sober self, your addiction's not going to stop. And as it goes along, it's going to cause more and more damage. Like when you see people sitting on the streets, they've lost everything, and you think, why are they still drinking? Because there's still something inside them that hasn't been expressed. This is what's really making sense to me now. I would say to people who are struggling with addiction, what are you not expressing? What are you shying away from? Because your addiction will push you to express that anyway. So if you're kind of like, well, I want to talk to my parents about what went on in my childhood, and I want to express to them the pain they caused me. I'm not necessarily saying that you go to your parents and do that, but you that's one way, but at least express that with a therapist, explore that with a therapist. People who've hurt you, your addiction is going to push you to express your pain, either to them or in other ways. What are you desperately trying to express? What comes out when you're under the influence, right? The Jekyll and Hyde thing. Who's Mr. Hyde? What does he look like? What does he do? What are his characteristics? Those are the things that are trying to be expressed. How can you express them when you're not under the influence? I think the more you can do that and almost bring your addiction full circle, bring it to its natural end, it's like squeezing every last drop out of it. But there's still going to be more there if you still have something in you that needs to be expressed. And obviously, being an addict, you are going to accumulate more trauma and more things that you then need to express as well, more pain. So it's difficult to kind of comprehend the idea of bringing an addiction to its natural end. But I can see now where, even though I was still using alcohol, I did embark on a healing journey. I was getting honest, expressing myself, talking, getting some self-knowledge. I was doing all of that. And that helped me. What's at the bottom? What's at the end of your pain? Where is it? What's the end? What's the end point? If I get all this out, then I'll be empty. What is it? Just, go deep with yourself and find ways to express it. Talking about it, or learning how to express your anger physically, like through I don't know, whatever practices are out there. I'm not going to say which ones. Who do you wish that you could tell something to? Like, you wish that person would know this, or you wish that you could tell this person this particular thing. Those sorts of things, like even writing them down, like just start there. It's not necessarily going to that person. Let me know your thoughts.